I came across with this online tutorial about how to learn SQL with this website, kind of SQLbolt, I believe. And then there's a lesson number 7. It talks about how to use keywords join and have different subtypes like left join, right join, or full join. From this documentation doesn't, well, to me, it's really, well, sometimes it's not too straightforward to understand how this works. So it says, it's talking about the left join. It says simply includes rows from A regardless of whether a matching row is found in B, and has a right join and full join. So this exercise, it says we only, because of the limited data, we only apply left join in this exercise. So how are we going about this? So the exercise 7, the first one is find the list of all buildings that have employees. So we have these 3 tables. The first table is about the buildings. We have 4 different buildings with different capacities respectively. We have a second table. It's named employees. We have different 4 columns. We have row, name, building, years, employed. So find a list of all buildings that have employees. So let me see how we're going to do this. So we can use, let's see, we can from employees. That's the default setting that is given for us. Find a list of all buildings. So the buildings, then we just type in building that have employees. How do we know that which building has employees? So these buildings are all repeated. So from the employees table, we choose the buildings that have the employees. So we can use a distinct keyword so that we can get rid of the old repeated buildings on the table. So we got this distinct building, which means the buildings have employees but are unique. So that's the first one. The second one, find a list of all buildings and their capacity. So this question, it says list the buildings and also the capacity. So we can find, we can just use the buildings table because it has building names, which lists all the buildings and they are all unique. And also they have the capacities respectively. So we can just use the table directly without modifying anything. Buildings. Yeah, so that's the second one. And third one is a little bit difficult. Actually, I checked the solution ahead because I couldn't find a solution. So, but I by myself. So I click on a solution and kind of work backwards. So kind of figured out how it works. But the problem is really because of the documentation of this website, because I had a hard time comprehending the words, because I had a hard time understanding the left join, because this left join simply includes rows from A regardless of whether a matching row is found in B. What does this line really means? Well, we can just maybe trying out, or we can just use this left join regardless of all these constraints. We can just use it. We can select everything and try to merge these two tables, see how it looks like. So we can do this maybe this way. So let me see the buildings. Okay. The syntax is left join, maybe left join employees. That's the name of the other employees. So that's the name of the other table. So now we so-called left join the buildings and the employees. So we can see that we have this so-called the merged table by these two tables on the top. But we can see it's a little bit convoluted at this point to me. Well, before that, because I could have had a hard time really to figure out why there's so many repeated rows in this integrated table. We can see there's so many repeated building name. But if we just compare this, the joined one with this employee, we could find that there are 13 lines are repeated for each building type. And why we have this 13 rows for each building type? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Another one will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I believe the rest of them are the same. But why it happens like this? If we take a look at the employees table, we will see that it has 13 rows as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So if we go back to the definition of the left join, it says a left join simply includes rows from A regardless of whether a matching row is found in B. So if we join the table of buildings to employees, then regardless of, it means really you want the table that's joined to another table to be compatible with the table that you want to join with. So which means in this case, the buildings, the rows should be catering to, I would say that, catering to how many rows employees. So that's why we have this so many repeated rows, because the building rows, the buildings table needs to be compatible with the employees, because the employees has 13 rows while the buildings only have 4 rows. How to make this compatible so that they can come up with this integrated table. So this building has to be, I would say accommodate the table employees. So that's why we have a building. Although we have 4 types of building, but each type has to repeat 13 times in order to match the table of the employees. So that's why we have these. Now, how are we gonna work on this task? It says list all buildings and distinct employee roles, which means in each building. So we want each building has distinct roles without repetition. So we see this joint table. We have building name 1E, and we have building 1E. That means the role of engineer, they are in the building 1E. And we have artist in the building 2W. But here we also have manager in 1E and manager in 2W. So we can use this keyword that's previously from the previous tutorial. It's called on, and you can just and then on, that means kind of constraint about like which target or kind of feature you would like to join 2 tables together. Because if without this on, that means we join the 2 tables regardlessly, which means without any constraint. But if we put this on, kind of similar to, I mean, so far I thought it could be kind of similar to where, but it's different from where, because this on is more it's going more with the join syntax, I would say. So since we join these 2 tables together, we use this on as a constraint as to the how they join together. So we want to use the building name that match the column of the other table, which employees. So we say employees dot building. So now we can see that the building matches building name, and they're sorted somehow. Maybe at this point we could see this table more clearly, because we see all the 1E matches the building name 1E, and we can see all the rows that are, even though they're repeated, we can see all the rows that are in 1E. We see engineer and manager, right? And we can see these 2 rows that are empty because they are not occupied by any people, I presume. And 2W, we have 2W that have artists and manager. But now we just repeated how I can just make them all, because it says a distinct employee. How can we just remove all these repetition in this table? We can use the since we select all, we can just use distinct keyword building, because the buildings are repeated, and we use row. So let me see, building. One second. Building name. Yeah, the building name. Building name. Distinct building name. And we need a row as well. Yeah, that's pretty much how I kind of work it backwards, and hopefully it helps.